Officials petition to hang Xi Jinping's portrait in Tiananmen. Remember these two shameless traitors. Epidemic surge. New graves in Daqing double. Funeral business experiences boom. 25-year-old resident doctor in Hunan took her own life. Suicide note uncovered. Ex-female spy infiltrates US. Reemerges via CCP Mouthpiece. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Officials petition to hang Xi Jinping's portrait in Tiananmen. Remember these two shameless traitors. Mao Zedong's portrait, a figure known for his tyrannical leadership of the CCP, still hangs on the Tiananmen Gate Tower. Vision Times recently reported that Wang Zhongwei and Shenzhen Lin, two former officials of the CCP, have urged the public to support placing a large portrait of Xi Jinping alongside Mao Zedong's on the Tiananmen Gate Tower. Their goal is for both leaders to be equally respected by the CCP and all of China's ethnic communities. This call to honor Xi and Mao together is portrayed as a heartfelt appeal from both the 1.4 billion people in China and the 50 million Chinese diaspora, highlighting a collective desire to see their leaders celebrated side by side. The news set off a wave of anger across social media in China, casting Wang and Xi as shameless traitors to the country. On March 12, Li Wan, a user born in the 1960s, amplified this outrage on the Global X platform, urging everyone to keep the memory of these shameless traitors alive. Official records reveal that Wang Zhongwei, born in 1955 in Inxian, Zhejiang, ascended to the position of party group secretary and director of the Counselor's Office of the State Council in September 2015, only to be dismissed in May 2021. Concurrently, Shenzhen Lin, a 1966 Pinggu, Zhejiang native, served as deputy director of the Hangzhou Emergency Management Bureau from January 2019 to January 2024, when he was relieved of his duties by the Hangzhou municipal government on January 11, 2024. Regarding this, one netizen suggested that these two individuals might be covertly opposing Xi. He argued that while the deceased Mao Zedong cannot surpass a living Xi Jinping, the legacy of Mao could challenge Xi posthumously. If Xi were to attempt to establish his legacy over Mao's and then pass away, those angling for power could leverage Mao's legacy to dismantle Xi's accomplishments. This is a reality Xi is likely aware of, making it essential for him to lean on the legacies of Mao and Deng Xiaoping rather than carving out his own distinct path. Other netizens commented on the situation as an evil flare-up and critiqued the strategy of emulating North Korea's Kim dynasty in China, noting that such an approach could backfire on Xi, potentially jeopardizing his family and descendants should he fail to establish a dynasty of his own. In fact, the portrait of Mao Zedong displayed on Tiananmen in Beijing has been subjected to defacement on multiple occasions. On May 23, 1989, 3 youths from Luoyang, Hunan, courageously defaced Mao Zedong's giant portrait in Tiananmen Square. Their protest began with banners declaring the end of despotism and the cult of personality, followed by throwing paint-filled eggshells at the portrait. Dubbed the Three Gentlemen of Tiananmen by the public, their bold act garnered widespread admiration. In May 2007, a man from Urumqi, Xinjiang, attacked the Mao portrait with a flaming device, causing noticeable damage. Witnesses saw him light and toss a canister at the portrait, igniting a fire. Over 100 police officers extinguished the blaze, and the portrait was quickly replaced. Contrary to official claims of the attacker's mental illness, the public hailed him as a hero. 2 more similar cases also occurred in 2010 and 2014. The protesters splashed ink on the Mao portrait, aiming to draw attention to human rights concerns and express dissatisfaction. However, they were swiftly detained by Beijing police. Epidemic surge. New graves in Daqing double. Funeral business experiences boom. The ongoing new coronavirus epidemic is escalating in China. Reports from northern China on March 13 indicate an unusual increase in deaths, affecting not just the older population but also young adults in their 20s and 30s. Wang Xi, pseudonym, operating a funeral supplies business in Daqing, shared with NTD that this surge has led to a booming funeral industry. Another funeral supplies merchant from Daqing City shared, "Every village here has its own burial ground, but recently, the graves on the hills around us have multiplied, becoming much denser than ever before." The growth over the last few years has been staggering. With the loss of so many lives, the funeral sector is really feeling the strain. I operate in this industry, and it's traditional to burn paper money for the deceased, right? That part of our business is thriving, a direct consequence of the ongoing epidemic. Meanwhile, Ms. Shi from Qiqihar, Heilongjiang, noted an uptick in fatalities, with survivors grappling with severe post-COVID conditions, such as thrombosis and heart attacks, and ongoing suffering. Many are now dependent on medical stents, and there's a noticeable rise in deafness among the elderly. In Hebei and Beijing, the ongoing epidemic continues to wreak havoc, leading to a significant rise in severe health conditions such as white lung, unexpected heart attacks, and strokes, with particular alarm among individuals aged 20 to 30. Furthermore, residents have raised alarms over an increase in pulmonary nodules and lung cancer cases following the administration of Chinese vaccines, many of which have been diagnosed as malignant. 25-year-old resident doctor in Hunan took her own life, suicide note uncovered. In Changsha, Hunan province, a 25-year-old female resident doctor, overwhelmed by excessive workloads, took her own life within the hospital premises. The discovery of her last note and additional information has ignited widespread attention and concern. In detail, on the night of February 23, at precisely 11:59 p.m., Chao Liping, the resident doctor, had scheduled her last note to be automatically published on QQ Space, a social networking website based in China. In her note, Chao expressed her exhaustion and desire to go back and rest, lamenting the world's lack of fairness and her inability to endure any longer. She apologized to her parents for not being able to repay their kindness in raising her, promising to make amends in another life. Chao had secluded herself in a bathroom within the doctor's on-call restroom at Hunan Provincial People's Hospital and took her own life. She will graduate in 3 months. Exhaustive workload drives young doctor to desperation. After the tragic death of Chao Liping, her note emerged online, vividly illustrating the immense strain she endured due to relentless overtime. From the 6th day of the Chinese New Year, I toiled for over 30 consecutive hours without respite. Even after working until dawn, I returned home only to rise at 6:30 a.m., hop into a taxi, and resume work at the department by 7 a.m. Even on days off, I was compelled to work overtime, with no end in sight. With ceaseless overtime, knowing that premature death was inevitable, I chose to take matters into my own hands. The grueling workload exacted a toll on Chao Liping's well-being, evident from her social media posts. Prior to her death, she exhibited symptoms of heart discomfort. In posts on February 19 and 21, she lamented, "Save the children, I've reached my breaking point, and there's probably no one in the entire ward with a faster heart rate than mine," accompanied by photos of her wearing a finger pulse oximeter, registering a heart rate consistently above 150. She wrote, "I've tested it for you all. At a heart rate of 120, there's chest tightness. At 130, shortness of breath. At 140 to 150, chest pain, dizziness, and blackouts." Chao undergraduate classmate, Li Xiaotian, pseudonym, remarked, "The intensity of this workload is akin to running continuously on a treadmill, constantly immersed in high tension and adrenaline secretion. How long can one endure? In that case, people may lose their minds." Reportedly, prior to her death, Chao Liping was rotating through the neurology department, where she had a high patient load and intense workload. Chao Liping's sister, Chao Yudi, alias, discovered chat records on her sister's phone, indicating that on February 19, Chao Liping sought leave from her teacher. She informed her teacher of her uncomfortable heart condition, with her heart rate exceeding 120 all week, experiencing palpitations and chest tightness. She expressed her inability to persevere any longer and requested a transfer back to her previous department. However, the teacher merely responded, "You've worked hard. The department is short-staffed this month. You'll be promoted to deputy team leader next month." Unfortunately, Chao couldn't endure until the following month and tragically ended her young life in despair. Furthermore, Chao expressed concerns beyond her overwhelming workload, fearing obstacles in obtaining the certificate. She wrote, "What's truly frightening is that, even if I take leave, I'm unsure if they'll find excuses to hinder my progress in the residency program, and one must adhere to obtaining the residency certificate." Li Xiaotian speculated that Chow's death might stem from anxiety over the impending residency graduation examination. As aspiring medical professionals, they must acquire 4 essential certificates: the academic certificate, degree certificate, residency certificate, and medical practitioner's license. However, control over the academic certificate, degree certificate, and residency certificate lies with the residency hospitals. Without any of these certificates, their 8 years of dedication would be futile. Li elucidated that while the residency program aims to hone clinical skills in medical students, they often contend with additional responsibilities. Apart from customary tasks such as documenting medical records, prescribing medication, changing dressings, and assisting in surgeries, they are frequently tasked with creating PowerPoint presentations for doctors' lectures and even arranging takeout orders for them. The hospital's trainee guarantee letter signing policy sparks doubts. Following Chow's taking her own life, concerns have emerged regarding the plight of resident doctors. Insider sources revealed that the mentoring teacher in the neurology department where Chow Liping served has been reassigned to rural areas. Meanwhile, Chow's fellow resident doctors at Hunan Provincial People's Hospital informed Li Xiaotian that the hospital had requested them to sign a guarantee letter. Moreover, Chow Liping mentioned in her note that resident doctors earn a daily wage of over 70 yuan, about $9.73. Many resident doctors receive a meager monthly allowance ranging from 800 to 1,000 yuan, approximately 25 to 32 US, often requiring financial assistance from their families to cover living expenses. Regarding the 25-year-old resident female doctor's death, netizens expressed sorrow, condemning the perceived callousness of doctors. They left comments such as, "Resident doctors are merely exploited labor for elite hospitals. They do the most work, earn the least, endure the most suffering, and face the deepest exhaustion. The credit goes to the leaders, promotion hinges on connections, and efforts go in vain, while relationships endure. While the upper echelon pursues profits, the lower ranks suffer silently. Yet, when incidents like this occur, their first response is to make them sign a commitment form." She was a doctor, with more options than most, but she still chose the extreme. The agony of endless work seemingly outweighed the alternative. Yet, her departure didn't afford others in similar situations a break. Instead, the organization made young people like her sign a liability exemption. This dehumanizes people. Ex-female spy infiltrates U.S., reemerges via CCP Mouthpiece. On March 13, Hu Xijin, the former chief editor of the Global Times, a publication of the Chinese Communist Party, sparked intrigue with a post about dining with Christine Fang, a figure dubbed the United States' most notorious Chinese female spy. The article is viewed as highly informative and potentially incendiary, sparking curiosity about Hu Xijin's. Back in late 2020, U.S. media exposed Christine Fang's extensive engagement with American politicians between 2011 and 2015. She notably focused on figures from the San Francisco Bay Area, even aiding Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell in his re-election campaign. Fang's seduction of at least 2 Midwestern mayors, which was caught on FBI tape, underscored suspicions of her as a spy for China's Ministry of State Security, aimed at embedding pro-Chinese Communist Party sentiments within U.S. politics. Fang vanished from the U.S. as the FBI closed in. Hu Xijin's recent article, in which he appears alongside Fang, attempts to rehabilitate her image, portraying her as a bridge for Sino-American relations rather than a spy. He describes how the CIA and FBI's demands for cooperation led to a search of her home and ultimately forced her flight from the U.S. However, netizens quickly dissected Hu's attempt to clear Fang's name, uncovering significant details within his narrative. For instance, Hu mentioned that Christine Fang graduated from Beijing's School of International Relations, served as a flight attendant for 7 years, and then pursued studies in the United States in 2009. They pointed out that the Beijing Institute of International Relations, where Fang attended, is actually a training ground for spies. Following her graduation, she reportedly joined the National Security Bureau directly. According to these netizens, anyone familiar with the college entrance examination process in mainland China would recognize that Fang's 7-year stint as a flight attendant was likely just a cover for her true activities as a spy. A netizen humorously pointed out the oddity of Fang, an alumna of the elite Institute of International Relations, choosing a flight attendant career, underscoring the disconnect between her education and job choice. Hu Shijin's admission that Fang returned to China alone post-FBI confrontation only fuels speculation. Was it a solo escape or a discreet return without ties? This slip seems to inadvertently confirm her espionage activities, with Hu making no effort to mask this revelation. Furthermore, the revelation of Fang's story, previously unknown in China, amid the Biden administration's relaxed policies on Chinese immigration, suggests deeper CCP machinations, stirring concern. Fang's current low-profile existence, working for a Shenzhen website after mingling with the U.S. political elite, raises eyebrows. Is her role now innocuous, or does it serve a more covert purpose? LT Vision further probed why Hu Shijin, a well-known CCP mouthpiece, would spotlight Fang. Is this a case of the CCP's national security leveraging Hu, or is he on a specific mission? LT posits that this scenario likely reflects a strategic play by the CCP. Even if Fang's espionage days are over, her presence could still influence U.S. political narratives. By bringing Fang back into public consciousness through Hu Shijin, the CCP aims to perpetuate its disruption of U.S. politics, with Hu serving a critical role in a broader national security agenda. Chinese affairs expert Zhang Tianliang discussed the public appearance of Fang with Hu Shijin, suggesting that Fang may have been cast aside by the CCP, as the party is known to abandon spies once they're exposed. He proposed that Fang could be leveraging Hu Shijin's influence to maintain her patriotic ventures. Mr. Zhang emphasized that this is typical of the CCP's approach to spies. They're swiftly discarded the moment they lose their utility. He highlighted the tragic story of Jin Wuxiao, a high-ranking CCP spy in the U.S., who took his own life after being detained and forsaken by the CCP, illustrating the harsh reality of the party's dealings with its covert operatives. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.